Prairie, as we bring you back history of long ago. We're taping history tape number 103 today, and we're delighted on this September the 19th to have a very special guest that'll bring back some of the history of Grand Prairie and maybe some of the history of our environs around our state and possibly farther. And Mr. Allie Hudson, we want to welcome you to our show today, young man.
Thank you very much.
Good. We're real glad to have you with us today. Now, Mr. Hudson, we want you to look out into your camera on this side. And first of all, we'd like for you to tell us your father's name and your mother's name, and we're going to establish some genealogy records here.
My father's name was Linton, Linton, Hudson, Hudson. He passed away when he was 89.
All right, and was he born in Texas, or did he migrate to Texas?
He was born in Texas.
All right.
In Lamar County.
All right. How about your mother? What was your mother's full name, including the maiden name?
My mother's name, she was born in Mississippi.
All right.
And her name was Donna Pearl House before she married my father,
okay,
Linton Hudson.
All right, and they had how many children altogether?
9 children.
9 children, and of those 9 children, how many are living today?
4.
You have 4 living today. Other than you, there are 3, and would you like to name those? Give us their last name now and where they're living, please.
Well, the first one is Ruby Lynn Miller, and she lives at Texarkana.
All right.
And she has, and other is Melba Miller.
All right. Where does she live?
Greenville, Texas.
She lives in Greenville, Texas. I think she was real important in the history of Greenville, wasn't she?
Yes. Her husband was county superintendent of schools there for several years. And he had a heart attack, passed away, and they appointed her, and she filled his unexpired term and then ran 2 or 3 times and was elected until she retired.
She probably was one of the first women county superintendents, right?
I think there was one before.
One before her, all right. We have 2 living sisters now. Do you have any brothers that are alive?
I have a brother, Don Hudson. He lives in Austin.
All right.
And Don was a baby of the 9 children, and he was 69 last January the 29th.
I see.
He was a baby.
All right. Now, I'd like for you to name me your deceased family members, including your, now we know that you don't know the name of the young infant that passed away, but
yeah,
the others, if you'd give us their names for our genealogy record.
Okay. The oldest sister, and she's the oldest of the 9, and she lived at Dyersburg, Tennessee, and her name was Stella Marie Reynolds.
All right, and the next one?
Jewel Hudson, Jewel Gladys Hudson.
Okay.
And I took her back to Albuquerque with me in 1936. She got in the city school system there and taught 34 years. And she passed away about 2.5 years ago.
All right, now let's get to the next one.
That's Mildred Osmond. They used to live here. In fact, her husband worked for me a number of years in the department store here, and she was teaching school over at Quinlan, Texas.
Okay.
Out of the 6 sisters, all of them made school teachers.
That is wonderful. Okay, then there's the last one, Bertha. Tell us about Bertha.
Bertha Pearl Smith.
All right.
Mildred and Bertha Pearl both have taught school out at Florence Hill. And Bertha Pearl taught here on 7th Street until she retired. And she's deceased also.
All right, now let's get to Allie Hudson. Let's get to you particularly. Tell us when you were born and where you were born.
That goes back a long ways. I was born in Lamar County.
All right.
But 2 miles out from a place called Howland, Texas.
And what year?
1903, October the 2nd.
All right, that was a good year.
Dad told me after I got up larger that he had to call the doctor, and 2 miles there in Howland, he had to go out, catch his horse, put the harness on, hook it to buggy, and come in. Well, when he got out there, I was already born. So Dad told me that the doctor examined Mother, said she's doing fine. She said, I believe I'll go back to town. Dad asked him, says, how much I owe you? He said, well, since the boy beat me here, just half price. I said, well, what is half price? Half of $10, $5.
That was the big bill to deliver Allie Hudson.
That's right. Dad had a lot of friends around. He told a lot of them, said that $5 was too much for what he got.
Oh, wonderful. All right, now, Allie Hudson grew up out in Lamar County, and then where did you go to school?
I was about 4 and a half or 5 when Dad bought a couple of farms down on the Sabine River.
All right.
We went down, and we moved back in the woods. And my 2 older sisters and I, after I started school, we walked a mile through the woods and then a mile on the prairie to school.
All right, if you were along the Sabine River, what county were you located in?
Hunt County.
Out in Hunt County,
Hunt
okay.
County.
All right, down near Greenville area.
That's right.
Okay. And then where did you go on to formal school after you left high school?
To Greenville at the college, and it was Burleson College.
Burleson College. Was it affiliated with a religious group?
Yes, Baptist.
It was a Baptist college.
And then at the edge of south there, edge of town out there, about a couple of miles, I had a Methodist college out there too.
Mm-hmm. So there were plenty of boys and girls in Greenville that, and you lived in Greenville then for a while?
Yes.
And then what did you do after you got out of college?
Well, I'd worked for a Jewish fella, had a department store on the south side of the square there, Sam Swartz, on Saturdays. And so when I got out, he wanted to hire me full time. But I'd start to Breckenridge to the oil boom that just started. And there was 5 of us going out. And from Dallas to 23rd Street out there. On 23rd Street, that's all, there was a filling station out there, and that's all. No buildings, nowhere in sight. We'd had 7 flats coming from Dallas out to here. So we asked, could we spend the night behind the service station there, and he told us we could. We put our wagon seat. Next morning, they all wanted to go back home. I stopped in Dallas, and I got a job with a construction company, and I worked for them about a year or so, and he passed away. In fact, as I helped build the first brick school building that Mesquite had. And I helped build a lot of them out there in Munger Edition. That was a big Dallas then.
All right, and you stayed in the construction business for a few years then?
Not years, probably a couple of years.
All right. And then what did you do after construction?
After construction, I went back and worked for this Jewish fellow. He overbought, and my wife had been in bed for about 6 months.
All right, now you've married since that time, so
Yes.
let's name drop your wife.
Raymond Fowler. She was the daughter of a chief of police there in Greenville.
All right.
Raymond Fowler.
Oh, good, okay. And you all only had children that you lost?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so between this union you had no children.
That's right.
All right, and then after working for Mr. Swartz in Greenville, what did you do?
I went with J.C. Penney Company in Greenville.
All right, and how long did you stay with J.C.
I was with them, I would say, around 6.5 years.
Okay, and you got a lot of experience then in the dry goods business or the department store business,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then what happened after J.C. Penney? What was your next step?
They transferred me to Albuquerque, New Mexico, assistant manager. They was firing the assistant manager because he messed them up in buying. And that was in 1935.
All right.
So on my way out, they got a hold of me and told me to stop in the Amarillo store for 2 weeks. And I worked there. And I left out of there 2nd of May, got to Albuquerque, drove around resident, I didn't know anyone, found a place, boarding house, man and his wife and 2 sons. But upstairs they had 3 bedrooms, 2 were rented out. Well, they belonged to the lodge that I belonged to, so I decided to stay.
All right, now name that lodge for us.
Well, this particular lodge was Oddfellows.
All right, the Oddfellows Lodge, and that's the 100F.
That's right.
All right.
It's
Like the button that you have on there.
60-year button.
60-year button, and that is beautiful.
I joined them in when I was 25. I organized and directed drum and bugle corps in this lodge. I've been all over the state with them, 40 of us in it.
Mm-hmm. All right, now after Albuquerque, what brought Allie Hudson to Grand Prairie, Texas?
This Jewish fellow's son and he himself, I was back on a vacation and they wanted me to come back, and I started a chain of stores of our own.
All right.
So I hesitated to do it, but we looked around the location and to buy a store, went over to McKinney and some other store places. So I had to go back, and so I got a letter from them, wanting me to come on back. They had a store leased at Hillsborough.
All right.
Well, that's back to Albuquerque. I got there 2nd of May, and that night it snowed about 6 inches of snow that night, 2nd of May.
All right.
So I came back and opened the store at Hillsborough, tore out the petition. There was a jewelry store and a drugstore here. We tore out the petition, put in new front, new fixtures and everything.
And this is in Hillsborough, Texas?
Hillsborough, Texas.
Hill County.
Hill County.
All right. And that was the first one of a chain of stores that you were going to open?
That's right.
All right. Then where did you go to bring you toward Grand Prairie?
February the 14th, 1944, I bought out a gentleman here, had a department store up here where Jack in the Box is.
All right.
Bought him out.
What was his name?
Hugh Lucas.
Mr. Hugh Lucas. So it was Lucas Department Store.
That's right, Lucas Department.
All right.
He's kind of crippled and they wanted to get out. And I bought it February the 14th, 1944. And I ran it for approximately 20 years.
All right. Did your wife work with you in this business, or any member of your family?
Well, I had my wife worked part-time, and then I had a brother.
And your brother Don that we mentioned, that's in Austin.
Stepson, Hollis Landrum.
All right.
Stepdaughter, Sue Molder. Her name Sue Molder now. And another stepdaughter, Mary Ann Edelman. Her husband is dentist over in Austin.
All right. So you have 3 wonderful stepchildren. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. And you married their mother then. What was her name?
Maddie Landrum.
Maddie Landrum. Okay. We have her into the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and you bought the old Lucas store in 1944. Where did you settle in the town? Did you live uptown Grand Prairie? Or
At that time, Grand Prairie was approximately 1,600 population.
All right.
You couldn't get a place to stay anywhere.
All right.
And my brother-in-law, he just gotten out of the Navy, And I called he and my brother. My brother was crippled up with arthritis. Over, told them to come over. They came over. And I told them what I wanted them to do. He said, when I got out of the Navy, I said, I'm not going to work for no one for 30 days. And I've only been out 10 days. I said, you two go home, get your clothes, be back tomorrow. His wife was teaching school there in Quinlan.
All right.
So she wouldn't give up her job. And the store had a pretty large office. So we put a double bed in there and already had a couch. And my brother-in-law and brother and I slept there at night. And back in those days, it seemed like every 15 minutes, right there by the depot.
Oh, the TNP Railroad came right through there.
Freights come through here. We had time sleeping. So he later bought a home here on 4th Street, I believe it is.
All right. Okay.
So we stayed there.
All right, and then what happened to you in the dry goods business or the department store business? How long did you stay in that, and then what happened to Allie Hudson?
Well, all put together, I guess I put in, I figured it up a good while ago. And, but when you get old as I am, there's 3 things happen to you.
All right.
First is your memory.
You lose it. All right.
You lose your memory.
All right.
And these other 2, I can't think what they are.
I know the feeling. That is great.
About 42 years in department store business.
All right. Where do you live now, Mr. Hudson, sir?
I live at 4602 South Beltline.
Oh, that's way out in the Florence Hill area, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. I'm the last house in that rock ranch-style house before you get to Polo Road.
All right.
I joined Polo and Beltline. Fox and Jacobs got 4,600 homes right across Polo from me. And Trammell Crow's got 1,200 acres they're going to develop. And they got one house that cost over $3 million out there.
Wow, that sounds good. All right. Living out near Lake Joe Pool, did you have anything to do with the development of Lake Joe Pool? Were you for it or against it? Did they take part of your farm or anything?
Great Southwest Highway goes out that way. I was by over there today. Just before you get to the water and the lake and the bridge, on the left, they've got a lot of paved streets out there.
Yeah.
And boat docks. That was part of 136 acres that the government took from me for the lake. Then it's got a branch in between there, woods over here. And on the other side of this branch, there was 2 houses there. And I haven't been back over there. They're going to put a park over there in it.
All right. So they did get part of your agricultural land out there. Did you farm any of that, or did you have someone farm it?
Yeah. And that bottom part down there, it went right down to the creek down there. I used to sow Sudan, alfalfa, get about 3 cuttings a year off of it.
Well, did you know Mr. Joe Poole, who was our congressman that was important in developing this lake? Did you know him?
Yeah, he'd been working on it about 25 years.
Well, did you do anything like going to Washington or helping on any of those trips?
Well, just below my residence out there, about half a mile, they used to have a glider field out there.
All right.
And the city officials, farmers, and ranchers, we met there several times. So one night in a meeting there, the committee elected 2 other gentlemen and myself to pick out 12 officers to serve. So at Way Up, it's a schoolhouse there. They had a meeting there coming up on Thursday night, and they was going to install the officer. Well, I had some cattle I wanted to sell, and I was down Terrell at the cattle sale. They nominated this gentleman, which is a good friend of mine. He agreed to serve. And then someone nominated someone else, and there's 4 nominations. I have a friend by the name of Marion Lloyd. I wasn't there, but a couple lived across the street from me. They were, and they told me next month. He got up, I want to nominate a guy that knows more people and knows every pig trail in the county. And doggone if they didn't elect me as president. So we had 12 officers, and we met at my house twice a week from our program. We went completely around the lake. We knew who lived here, where they owned the land, our renters, and how many children, and so forth then, which amounted to a little over 800 people that it would affect. Then I had to go to Washington. That was in '69. I went to Washington and appeared before the House one day and the Senate the next day. That's when they had it down for conservation. There's just going to be a small lakes along it. And then in '70, had it down for water. Well, there was the Corps had 2 places available up at Roanoke and one at Aubrey, which Dallas later took Aubrey and developed it. Well, anyhow, in '71, they had it down 65% recreation. Well, I went up, testified about 30 minutes, and I bought the volumes of the ones that testified. It's in book form. We got a lot of information out of it. Testified about 30 minutes. And I picked up my portfolio and walked out to the elevator, and it's slow coming. Well, the MCs, a senator sitting on either side of him, and I hadn't met them. But while I was waiting at the elevator, here came that one sitting on the right. He walked up about this close to me. I thought he was going to hit me. Then he shook my hand and says, Senator Rhodes from Arizona said, I just wanted to come out and tell you really presented the case. Well, after I left, the head corpsman went in. I'd always been landing out at Dulles Field, but I landed out about 15 miles north. He went in. He says, that long, tall, lanky guy, Hudson from Texas, didn't do nothing but come up here and lie like a dog. But what I did, I gave him 300 acres that had sold $3,500 an acre up here on 360. It had sold for $11,500 an acre before I left to go up there. I went to the dam where the dam was supposed to be and went completely out of it. I had 11 different sales, figures on it. So he said, there's no land down there selling for that kind of price. After I left, the little bird sent me notice what he said. So about 3 months later, unbeknown to any of us, they sent a senator down with my portfolio to check it out. First thing he did, he went to 360 to check that out. During that 3 months, it had sold for $12,000. And in the lake, so I had about 6 that had sold during that 3 months. So he went back and told him, said that guy Hudson wasn't over. Telling the truth, darn stuff's higher now than it was when he came up here. So in about 3 months, it came out paper that it was moving the dam 1 7/10 miles south, and that's where it is today.
And you caused that dam to be moved, that because of your testimony?
That's right.
That's wonderful.
That's right.
All right, now, Mr. Hudson, not only have you been important in Lake Joe Pool and all of the area out south of town and into the downtown Grand Prairie, I'd like for you to tell about your community service through your 2 lodges. Now, I know that recently you were honored for 60 years in the Oddfellows group. And I understand that you also have had another honor recently from the Masonic Lodge. Tell us about that.
Well, this pen here, my membership's still over in Greenville. I belong there. I went through the chair, district deputy of 3 counties over at once.
And that's the Oddfellows.
This is Oddfellows. I organized and directed a drum bugle corps with 40 of us in it, and we've been all over the state years ago. In fact, when they built the new courthouse over there, they got us up on the scaffold, and we had to play a couple of numbers on the northwest corner there, dedicating the courthouse. I was 25 when I got into Oddfellows, and 29 when I got into Mason.
All right. And were you a member of the Masonic Lodge here in the Grand Prairie area?
Yes, Hampton.
Sam R. Hamilton Lodge?
Hampton Lodge, 1031.
All right. And are they the ones that honored you recently with
Yes, ma'am.
60 years?
That's right.
All right. Do you get a certificate or a pen or a special commendation with that?
I got a pen in here. I thought it was in here, but it's on my other suit.
So your pen came in this beautiful little box.
That's right.
And we would have had it today if you hadn't had it on your other suit.
I thought it was on the other side. Didn't notice it until I got up here.
All right. Now, Mr. Allie Hudson, are you retired now? What do you do with your life every day?
I don't want to ever retire.
Way to go.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I still, my eye's not as good as it used to be, but I still buy and sell cattle, raise cattle.
All right.
And hay. Have 8 acres wrapped around web over there. A lot of hay there, and they're on the place where I live.